want me to talk
Mm,
about this, but
yeah, go
you're
ahead.
doing my Facebook ad, and you pretty much handle my. I think you're handling our Click Funnel. Gave us some advice on that and stuff.
Yeah.
So on both of those, in like the last 45 days, just on those, I have written. Let's see, $128,660.
Awesome. Yeah. And so the reason why we're doing this Rain Market podcast is there's a lot of agents out here that think they have a lead problem, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they think that, you know, it's the bad leads over here and over here, but really they have a sales problem, right?
Yeah,
They have a commitment problem, right? And
yeah,
and I always say that in this business, the life insurance
they
agent,
got a laziness problem.
yeah, it's a consistency and persistency problem. So the reason why we do the Rainmaker podcast, and again, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Kevin Alexander, Hall of Fame producer, one of my favorite people to be around because every time I speak with him, I learn something. It pushes me, and I grow. And so we brought him back on just to kind of talk about mindset, his process, and how he focused. And what we're doing is we're trying to give back to the agents that are out there that may be watching this, that are struggling to write their first policy, maybe in the wrong organization and don't know it, maybe in the wrong vehicle, maybe uncertain about the product that they're selling, and they're trying to sell multiple things, and they need to just find one thing that they believe in and sell. And we're just going to kind of walk through, and we're going to back up a little bit and get a little bit of Kevin's story of where he started and the first couple months before he figured it out and how he struggled in his process, and then go into his philosophy on how he approaches things every single day and some things that he's found that's helped him to be successful. And so, yeah, Kevin, if we can just kind of back up a little bit and just kind of talk about
Mm-hmm.
your story and how you got into business and how it went for you in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. The way I ended up in the business is actually when it started. My dad always tried to convince me to be in sales. My dad was in the insurance business back in the '50s, and so I grew and I was in sales. Actually, when I first my first job in sales, I was selling mobile homes, and years ago, I worked for a mobile home dealership. Became one of the youngest managers that company had. It was a dealership back then. They had 300 and some odd dealerships nationwide. And when I was in my early 20s, I became a manager for them. One of the top managers took a lot. They put me on a lot out in Lubbock, Texas. That was actually considering shutting it down, and we took that lot, turned it around in the next 9 months, had it in the top 10 in the nation, and just turned it around by working hard. So that kind of led over into the insurance business. I got into the insurance business because I seen an opportunity to make even more money than I was making then, and plus I liked the idea of getting renewals. So I went into the insurance business. Back in those days, was doing Medicare and final expense. The company I was with then, we became the top agent for that company, top agency in the nation, doing Medicare and doing final expense. And I guess was top agency for them for about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years in a row. I can't remember exactly, but quite a few years in a row. And just continued following that pattern. So now we're over here to Family First Life, and we want to build the same team, and we want to grow and continue doing what we'd done before. I was gone during that time before I came to Family First Life. I was gone for a while, just because I was traveling doing a lot of missionary work. I was gone for about out of the insurance business for about 10 years. So let me fill in that gap, Arturo. After I left the company that I was with, that we was the top agency in the nation, then I went into the missionary field, traveling all over the world, India, Africa, Haiti, doing missionary work. And the money I made in the insurance business then is what supplied me for the next 9 or 10 years to do that missionary work. I didn't have to ask people for money. I didn't have to beg for money. I didn't have to do none of that stuff. So I made a good income, had good renewals. So a lot of people ask me, they say, Kevin, why'd you get back into the insurance business? Well, it was simple. I started running out of money. So it's time to go back to work. And that was when I come across FFL.
Gotcha. So that's a great point to get us up to speed. So walk me through, that Hall of Fame year. How you started. How were you able to do that so quickly? Walk us through a little bit of that journey.
When I first started back in November, I started, and I had about $1,000 left in my savings account. That was it. And so I listened to people, and they said buy leads, and I just believed that if I bought the leads and worked them, that something good was going to happen. And so my first set of leads that I bought, Arturo, I bought $500 worth of leads, Facebook ads, final expense leads, and then I bought those on like a Sunday, and then I bought another $500 worth on Wednesday, and that first $1,000 that I sunk into them, I made $6,000 off that $1,000 investment. And I just went to work, man. I called them. You can't have any fear about these people being mad at you. You can't have fear about them hanging up on you. You can't have fear about all that stuff. If you're walking around in fear all the time, that's going to be the very thing that holds you in your cage, and you're never going to succeed. You can't worry about what people are going to say. And the things that you worry about, people, what they're going to say or what they're going to do, if you ever sit back and look about it or look at it, the things that we fear the most or the things that we worry about the most never actually happen.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
And
So can you expound on
my
that?
fear,
Can you expound on that a little bit? What do you mean by that?
well, I'll say it two ways. My fear of not succeeding was greater than my fear of what somebody was going to say on a lead.
Hmm.
So many times, people, they're afraid that somebody's going to hang up on them. They're afraid that somebody's going to cuss them out. They're afraid that somebody's going to do this. They're afraid they're going to be bugging somebody, whatever it is. And you got to develop the mindset that these people filled out that form. These people requested the information. These people sent it in. These people took the time to get on the internet, get on Google, get on wherever it is, Facebook, wherever it is. They took the time to fill it out. So my mindset when I call them people is not that they're going to be mad at me, not that they're going to cuss at me, not that they're going to scream at me, but my mindset is that they're expecting to hear from me, and I'm calling them because they needed me. They requested this information, and what kind of service would I be doing for those people if they requested the information and I didn't contact them?
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think that there's an important word that you use that a lot of people kind of take for granted and gloss over, which is you said you worked the leads that you had. So let's
Yeah.
unpack that. When you say you worked them, what does that mean? Because some people are like, oh, I called them and they didn't answer one time, and then I followed up with them on Friday, right? And I called them again, and these are bad leads. So
No.
walk me through your mindset of what you consider for leads, and then what is your process, and when you're saying you're working leads, what does that actually mean?
When I work a lead, when I was working leads, and when I work a lead, when I would get those stack of leads, I would sit down in my office and I would be ready to dial Monday morning at 8 a.m. At 8 a.m., I was not trying to get it all together. I wasn't trying to print everything out. I was sitting there with my hand on the phone. I was sitting there looking at my phone. And when that big arm hit 8 a.m., I was dialing. And what I do is, number one, I will triple dial every lead. That means that I will call it the first time. If they do not answer, I will let it go all the way to the voicemail in order to make sure that I've got the right phone number. Okay. That way, when the recording comes on, then after that, I'll turn right back around. I'll call it again. I'll let it ring 3 times, and then I'll hang up, and then I'll turn right back around and I'll call it again, and I'll let it ring 3 times. If that lead does not answer, I set it to the left and I go to the next one. And then out of those, the leads that don't answer, okay, I set all those to the left. And then when I work through my pile of leads, then I grab all the ones that did not answer and I triple dial them again. And then the ones that don't answer out of that, I set them to the side. And then when I get through with the ones that did answer, then I take the ones that did not answer and I triple dial them again. And I work through my leads all the way down like that until I reach the amount of appointments that I need. So there may be some leads that I've called some leads 27 times in a day. 27 times working through those leads, because we've got to understand that a lot of times people are not going, they're going to be at work. They may have something going on. They may not have their phone with them. They may be looking at it and saying that I don't recognize this number. So the reason that I triple dial is usually, I would say, Arturo, about 40% of my leads will answer on the second or third dial. when I triple dial them. Or even if I set it aside, they may answer later on. I've had a lot of people answer a phone, and I've called them so many times. They're like, well, the only reason I answered, I thought it might have been an emergency, just because you called me so many times. I said, yeah, this is an emergency. I got to get you this information that you'd requested about getting some life insurance. So I call them. I call them. They filled that information out because they have been thinking about protecting themselves and protecting their families. That's why they filled that information out. And anything that gets inside my head that's contrary to that right there, I've got to get rid of it, because it's going to affect my ability to do what I need to do.
Gotcha. And so that's good to hear, because a lot of agents thinking that they're working leads, just calling them once a day, right? Calling them twice a day. And the truth is that sometimes it's going to take more than that. In order for you to hit the goals that you have set, you need to have a commitment. And you said that you have a number that you have set. So let's talk about that number and what you do up until you hit it. So let's say your goal was to hit 20 appointments for today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're at the end of your list and you've got 14 and it's 7:30 p.m. What are you doing?
What we're going to do is we're going to take the ones that didn't answer before, the ones that didn't show up to their appointments, the ones that no-showed us, and we're going to start working back through those. So we've always got a list of working appointments. I got folders around my desk. I mean, right here is a list. You can look at this right here, and I don't know if you can see it, but those are people that I'm going to be calling back today. These are the people over the past few days that no-showed us. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take those. We're going to work back through those. We're going to call them up. We're going to say, hey, Arturo, this is Kevin. We had an appointment scheduled the other day, 10:30. I know people get busy. You couldn't make it to our appointment, so we need to get you back on the schedule. What's better, before lunch or after lunch? And usually, and what you got to realize, Arturo, and I know you know this, but what people got to realize is even statistics show that it takes, somewhere upwards of 8 times sometimes to contact some people in order to get them to close. So if somebody schedules an appointment with me and they don't show up to that appointment, and I call them back and reschedule that appointment, then I'm one step closer to getting them closed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at that. The more I talk to somebody and the more times they set an appointment with me, the more likely they are to buy from me when we actually get on the phone and get it going.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that all of that right there, that's buying signal. If somebody keeps on setting an appointment with me, Arturo, that's a buying signal to me.
Yes, it is.
They hadn't told me to quit. So you got to continue working through your no-shows. You got to continue working through the ones that said, call me back. You got to continue working through the ones that said, hey, I need to talk to my wife. You got to continue walking through the ones that people that hang up on me, people that tell me that they're not interested. They may not be interested today, but next week, that's a new lead again. Why? Because they probably forgot that they told me today they wasn't interested. So you know what I'm going to do? They might be interested next week. So I'm going to call them back and I'm going to go right through it again. I'm going to act like they never told me that they wasn't interested. Yeah. I'm going to go back through it because they were interested at one time. That's the reason they filled the information out.
Gotcha. Yeah. And a lot of agents, they have that figured that like once that person hangs up or they say that they're not interested, they cast those leads away. And what you're saying is that people are throwing money away or leaving money on the table, not following back up with them, because as human beings, they don't realize that we have a fallible memory, right? Like most people don't remember what they had for lunch a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, they probably don't even remember speaking with you. So when you call them back in your mind, you're like, oh, this is a new lead, and you have a short memory with that, which is very important. And so I just really wanted to establish what a Hall of Fame producer considers working leads, right? Because there's a difference, right? And people think that they're working, but they're busy, right? And people confuse, activity with productivity. And that's a huge purpose. It's like, what are you doing to generate appointments? And so thanks for sharing that. And so this is the way that you make sure that your calendar is consistently full. And that's the first piece is all the activity goes into this. And so then when you have these appointments on your calendar, let's move into the process of the sales process now. So when you're doing the appointments, somebody picks up or somebody opens the door, what's kind of the frame of mind that you're going in with, right? And then when you're actually going through the process, what's your process kind of look like?
When somebody picks up the phone, when I call them, first thing I say to them when they say hello, I say, Arturo. And I wait on them to say, yes, Arturo, yes. Kevin Alexander, Hammer Lane Consultants. How you doing today? That's it. And I go right into it and I say, hey, I just want to thank you for setting this appointment with me today here at 10:30. I know you're a busy guy. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. So number one, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to make sure that you and your family's protected. And I'm going to do the best that I can to make sure that we get you covered today. And I'm closing right from the get-go right there. I'm
Gotcha.
going to do the best that I can to make sure that we get you covered today, get you some help today. Because I mean, really, I don't want to leave anything. I don't want to be put over in that friend zone. You know what I'm saying? Because there's too many times that we want to make friends with people and all that stuff. We get put in that friend zone. And so that's what I'm there to do. I'm there to help them. And that speeds everything up and it moves it along. Next
Gotcha.
thing. And
Well, why is that important?
then
Why is that important? No, hang on one second. Why is it important to establish that you're here to do a job, and it's important, like you're establishing your expertise, and that you're here, for something that's very important to them. So you want them to take it serious also. Why are you trying to not spend too much time trying to get them to quote unquote like you?
I believe number one is when we spend a whole bunch of time trying to do all this warm up, and I know people do warm up, people got different approaches, but when we spend all this time trying to become their friend, then I don't think that they take us serious. I look at it like when you go into a doctor's office, you go into a doctor's office, you got a certain time, you got an appointment there. The doctor's not coming in there doing all this time. You know what you're there for. You know what you're there for. The doctor knows what you're there for. There's a time that you got to be there. I see myself as a professional. I see myself, my time is valuable. My time is very, very valuable. And I want that to come across to them. I want that to come across to them that I'm a busy man. I want that to come across to them that I got 15 other appointments today. I want that to come across to them that, you know what, I have set this time aside for you. That you set this appointment with me and I'm going to work with you. So I don't want to be somebody that when somebody calls that they think that they can just tell me and change the appointment and say, hey, can I call you back in a few minutes? No, you can't. I tell people that. They say, hey, I'm busy right now. Can I call you back in a few minutes? I'm like, Arturo, you set this time at 11:30. I'm very, very busy. So I'm going to have to call you back when I can reschedule.
Gotcha.
And that's how I come across. So I want to establish professionalism. I want to establish control, and I want to establish the point of us talking. Those three things right there.
Gotcha. And so from there, you've established all of those three things and urgency that, like, this is very important today. We're going to try to get something done. So once you've done that, then what's the next step for you?
Next thing, then after that, I'll do a little bit of a warm up. Okay. Then that's how I hit them first. And after that, I'll do a little bit of a warm up and I'll start asking some things. Okay, where you at? Okay, what state you in? What are you driving? We'll just go through the general warm ups. Trying to warm up a little bit. And then after we warm up, I make this as my announcement. Okay, Arturo, let's get into this because I know you're busy. I'm busy. So let's get into how I'm going to help you out. Now, Arturo, let me ask you this. When you seen my ad, and I'll go through my ad, when you seen my ad, when you seen what had happened to my dad, when you'd seen, I had a brother that lost his life in the same kind of business that you're in. When you seen that I was involved in an accident in the same kind of business that you're in, then I say, what was it that motivated you to take time out of your schedule and set this appointment with me? I want to find out, because when I ask them that, then they're going to tell me their hot buttons. They're going to tell me what they seen in my ad that motivated them. And when they tell me what motivated them, then that's one of the hot buttons. They're going to tell me what got me to thinking. You got me to thinking, if something like this happens to me, what happens if if I pass away? What happens if I'm involved in an accident? What happens if I get sick? So I asked them, number one, I want to establish their motivation. All right.
Gotcha.
And then I go right into it. And then I'll say, all right, well, Arturo, I'm sure you're probably wondering what all is going to take place today. And let me kind of lay this out before you, because I don't want any surprises. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, Arturo. And the reasons that I'm asking you these questions is so I can figure out how to help you to the best of my ability. Now, some of these questions that I'm going to ask you, Arturo, you're probably going to be thinking, why are you digging? Why are you prying? And the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to pull as much information out of you as I can so I can get you the best coverage that you need in order to make sure that your family is protected the way that you want them protected. Okay. Now, once I pull all that information out of you, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a recommendation to you on coverage. And once I make that recommendation to you on coverage, we want to make sure that it's the coverage that you want, that you feel like is going to protect you and your family. I'm going to ask you questions about your financial future, what you want to accomplish with your financial goals. And then I'm going to put a recommendation together for you. And if it accomplishes what you want it to accomplish, and if it's within the monthly investment that you want to make every month, I'm going to want to get an application off of you today and see if we can get you qualified. Is that fair?
Awesome.
That's
And
it.
so then from there, you just
That's
you're
all.
right into it. You just right into asking them the questions. You let them know why you're here. You establish what's about to happen so that they're not sitting there wondering what's happening next. You already let them know so
Mhm.
they know what the future is, which then they can be present, right? You've already established your credibility of
Mhm.
professionalism and you know their why and why they want coverage. So you know exactly how to tailor your presentation to kind of discuss those things based off of what they've told you. So you've done some gathering. And then you just go right into why this is important for them to have it based off of what they told you from their why and what they can qualify for. And then you go ahead into the application and go ahead and see if you can get them covered, right?
Yep. Next question I ask them after we do that. The next question I ask them, I say, Arturo, if I can get you qualified today, what do you want this coverage to accomplish? And
Mm,
they'll sit there and then they'll usually go back into my ad. Well, I seen on your ad where it said this and it got me to thinking. And I seen on your ad where it said this and it got me to thinking. And I've got a wife and need to make sure that she's taken care of. And so that's the first thing I am. So what do you want this to accomplish? And now off of that, when they say what they want it to accomplish, that's when I start digging a little bit. Okay, you married? Yeah, okay. What's your wife's name? Well, her name is Janice. Okay. Now is Janice going to be your beneficiary? Yes, she is. Okay, good. Now, does she work outside the home? Okay. No, she doesn't work. She doesn't work outside the home. Okay. So you're the sole income earner. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So now let me ask you this, Arturo. Are y'all buying a house or renting a house? Well, we're buying a house. Okay. How much is your payment on it a month? $1,500 a month. Okay. Let me ask you this. Have you thought about this, Arturo? If something happens out there, you got the seventh most dangerous job in the nation doing what it is that you do. But if you didn't come home tomorrow, okay, how is Janice going to make the house payment, keep up with the bills, being that you're the sole income earner?
mm.
Okay, have you thought about that? Well, no. Well, how would that affect her? Well, she'd lose everything. Okay, Arturo, what do you got in place right now that will protect your wife if that happened? Well, really? I don't have nothing. Okay, Arturo. Now I'm starting to see why you set this up.
Okay.
Now I'm starting to see why you scheduled this appointment with me. See, that's why I ask those questions, Arturo. Now let me ask you another question. What if something happened to you? Because not everybody that loses their income has to die. A lot of people get sick. A lot of people get ill, may have cancer, heart attack, stroke, something like that. So let me ask you this: if you lost your income due to some type of illness, what do you got in place to protect your income or to replace your income while you're at home recovering from this illness? Well, Kevin, I don't have anything. Wow, you don't have anything? Then I'll say, well, you must have a pretty good savings saved up then. You must feel pretty confident in your savings. If you lost your income due to sickness or illness, how long would your savings last you? Well, about 2 or 3 months. Okay. Then if you're on chemotherapy treatments and it takes 6 months, what are you going to do at the end of that 2 months? What do you got in place? What's your plan when that savings runs out?
Wow.
I don't know. And usually, you know what they'll say right there? They'll say, that's why I'm talking to you.
Mm,
That's where I want them.
that's amazing.
And that's
Yeah,
that's
you
where we
get right
start.
into the real stuff, and it's important
That's it.
because you know, and I know that this may be the first or the last time they've ever had a serious conversation like this, and they've been putting it off. Everybody knows
Yeah.
what they need to do, right? Everybody knows that you need to
Mm-hmm.
get up, you need to eat a little bit healthy, a little less salt, a little less sugar. You need to get out, get some fresh air, and get a little exercise. But sometimes you need a little coach to say, "Come on, man, get up. Come on,
That's
get off the couch, put that down. Let's eat something." And sometimes um, it's leadership, right? We're leading
it.
people to make a good decision because this is going to be one of the best decisions that they can make because it's going to have a huge and profound effect on them in the event that something happens. If it doesn't, right, it's still good to have. But if something happened, this
Yeah.
is going to be tremendous for them. There's not many things that can impact the trajectory on their life. One, in a positive way, but two, also keep their lifestyle the same if something were to happen to their loved ones. So that's great. So,
That's right.
so in closing, with this piece, what are a couple of things? So let's say we were talking to a younger Kevin, just getting started in insurance business. What were maybe one or two pieces of advice that you would give based off of your Hall of Fame success that they need to really hang their hat on to be successful, and not just to write a couple policies to have like one good month, right? But to
Mm-hmm.
consistently be good to great in this business.
I think a lot of people get paralysis by analysis. that they see a lot of stuff that they want to do and they analyze it. They analyze something to death, but they never move. They never go forward with it. So there's a couple of things that got to happen. Number one, to be successful in this business, and there's several things, but number one, you've got to have the mindset. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have the mindset that failure is not an option in this business. And when you have the mindset that failure is not an option, then you will not quit working your leads. You will not stop working your leads. If failure is an option, then that becomes your excuse to quit working. You got to get rid of the option to fail. You've got to get rid of that option. I will not fail. I will not fail in this business. So number one is, and in this business, it's good to have a little bit of money, to start with. So a lot of people in this business, they try to just start out broke and they're just trying to, just barely skate by. You know what I mean? They come in here and they want to buy 10 or 20 leads, starting out. And then if all of those 20 leads don't book appointments, then they think they were bad leads. I don't believe there's such thing as a bad lead. If people took the time to fill it out, then I believe it's a good lead. If somebody talks to me on the phone, it's a good lead. If somebody fills it out on Facebook, it's a good lead. So number one, you got to have the mindset. You got to believe in yourself. That is it. Number two, you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a plan on where you're going to get your leads, what you're going to do, how you're going to work them. And then number three, continue training, continue learning, continue listening to video messages like this, continue going on YouTube and listening to people that have been a success in the business, and then do what they do. Find somebody that's where you want to be and then do what they did in order to get there. It's that simple.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't try to be creative and come up with something new. Keep it simple, model what works, and get good at doing that first.
That's it.
Awesome.
Find somebody that's successful. Find somebody you want to be a Hall of Fame. I don't want to be a Hall of Fame producer and listen to somebody that's never been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And that's another thing is people are listening to people that haven't done anything. Everybody's got great ideas. Just like like they said about Mike Tyson. It said every fighter thinks they have a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Right. So you want to be in the ring, or you want to be in the trenches with somebody that's battle tested, that has done it. Right. And can show you the path that they've gone through it, and not just listening to somebody that, has the theory. And so
that's it.
Yeah. And so
I'm going to go talk to my parents. Well, what do you want to talk to your parents about? Is your parents in the business? No. Then I probably wouldn't talk to them. Just to be honest with you. Well, that's my mom and dad. I understand that. What did your dad do? He's in the military. Well, if you want to go into the military, I'd get your dad's information. But has he ever sold insurance? No. Then I'd talk to somebody that has.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so I think that that's profound. Find somebody that's done what you want to do and has gone where you want to go, right? And get under their tutelage, follow their steps, follow their training, and model success till you can get where you're going, and then you can use your voice. So I think that that's powerful.
That's it.
And so,
guys,
I hope this training's been helpful, and you can see just with our partnership over the last 45 days, where he's been able to use the Agent Accelerator program to write over 120,000, right? Which is absolutely amazing, and be a Hall of Fame producer himself. But it's more about his mindset and his work ethic. And so there's a lot of agents watching this or be watching this that'll be inspired by this, because I definitely am. And so if you're a life insurance agent and you may be looking for one or two things, right? One, you may be looking for consistency and predictability in your business, then you can click the link below and check out the Agent Accelerator. But also, if you're in an organization where you may not have the leadership, you may not have the tutelage, and you're inspired and compelled by the things that Kevin has said today, then you can reach out to him as well. So Kevin, what's a good place for somebody who's watching this as an agent that's hungry, thirsty for knowledge, ready to rock, and just might not be where they need to be, and they just want to kind of contact you?
They can send me an email, Kevin Alexander, FFL@gmail.com, or go look me up on Facebook, Kevin Alexander, and shoot me a message.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. There's so many things to unpack in there, so many gems. Definitely great to be a partner of yours. Thanks for sharing that educational information to help life insurance agents all around the world. And so we thank you for hopping on the Rainmaker podcast. Take care.
Yes, sir. And let me say this thing real quick, Arturo. If you're thinking about getting this system, I thought about it for 3 months before I actually pulled the trigger. I wish I would have made the decision a lot quicker. If you're thinking about it, quit thinking about it, pull the trigger. Arturo, they do an awesome job.
Awesome. So really quickly, while you brought that up,
Mm-hmm.
can you elaborate a little bit on your experience, not just the results, but like working with us? What has it been like for you?
I'll tell you what I like about it, Arturo, is I've worked with other systems before, and not saying anything against them. They were good, but usually, when there was a coaching call or something like that, you'd be on there 20 other people, and and you only had a limited amount of time to ask your questions. The one thing I really appreciate is that your coaching calls, man. When we set those up, it's boom, you set it up, and it's me, it's my assistant, and it's you. Or a lot of times it's even my assistant, because I'm in here running appointments, but man, you make time for it. You come in there, you make time to do the coaching. You're quick to respond. You're quick to make the adjustments. You're quick to answer the questions. Your staff's on top of it. Everybody's on top of it. Everybody's moving quick in order to make sure that we out here in the field can succeed. And that speaks volumes to me. That speaks tons to me. I know when I was talking to you last week, I said, hey, I'm ready to upgrade. Boom, within 30 minutes, I had the invoices, I had the system, I had everything of what it was going to be. So now I can take this, I can look at it and say, this is how I want to upgrade. This is how I want to scale it. Everything is there. Everything's in place. You're reaching out to me saying, Kevin, when you want to scale, when you're ready to start adding agents, boom, we can do this. So it's very, very interactive. The coaching is right there. It's step by step. I hadn't come across anybody that works with the agents on an individual basis like you do. And that's what I appreciate. I'm kind of a country boy. I tell people this all the time. I'm way behind when it comes to technology. When it comes to all of this stuff, I'm way behind. So you got to hold my hand and really walk me through it. And y'all have done that. And I just, man, I appreciate it. It's been a good experience.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because there'll be a lot of the agents that have tried other programs and they feel like it didn't work or they didn't get their money's worth. But coming over here, I've been able to kind of guide you in a way to kind of recoup some of that also. And it's just one or two little tweaks. But again, if you don't have that time with somebody that has the expertise in order to do that, you feel like this thing isn't working or isn't working as well as it is. So I definitely appreciate that. So if you're an agent that's tried some things already and it's like, man, that Facebook stuff or that online stuff or that VSL funnel stuff isn't working in the life insurance business, here's proof of that. 120,045 days, even with
Submitted,
the program that he's tried before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've submitted in the past 45 or 50 days, right in there, just on this. We've submitted 128,660.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again for hopping on. Definitely been a pleasure. Definitely learned a lot. And if you need anything from me, obviously you know where to reach out to us. But that will conclude this training for today. Take care.
All right, thank you, Arturo. Have a good one, bud.
You too. Bye.